Okay, today our learning target is to plot points and identify points on the coordinate plane. And this might be the first time that you've ever seen the coordinate plane, so I'm going to talk about it real quick. What you see on your screen, this is the complete coordinate plane, and it is two number lines. As you can see, some of them have negative symbols by them. Two number lines that are perpendicular to each other. They form that T, and we use the coordinate plane. It is flat, two-dimensional to plot points, or sometimes even to plot data, which we will be doing later this week. In fifth grade, you only have to worry about this quadrant right here, one of the four pieces. We call that quadrant one. In quadrant one, we have positive and positive numbers. Now, the other thing I want to show you on here, and we'll talk about this when we kind of zoom into quadrant one, is this point right here. Try to make it with my pen. This point right here, where we have our coordinates 0, 0, is called the origin. Some people call it the zero origin. Every time that you see a coordinate of our coordinate plane, and again, you're only going to be doing quadrant one in fifth grade, only working with quadrant one, it always is going to start with the points or coordinates 0, 0. Okay, the first thing that you're going to be doing on your slides today to practice this is to actually place some points on your graph. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We are going to put some coordinates over here listed in our ordered pairs list onto our graph. So again, you can see I've zoomed in. This is quadrant one, and we have our origin point where this 0 is here, right here. Okay, I don't want to plot a point there, but I used my blue marker. And what we're going to do is we're going to practice placing these coordinates onto our quadrant one, onto our coordinate grid here. Okay, now there's a couple ways to remember this. I'm going to circle this, kind of highlight it, make it stand out to you. But the way that these coordinates or ordered pairs are listed are our x value first and then our y. So we practiced this earlier this week. We have our x axis here. This is this line. My marker kind of messed up there. I'm going to erase that and start over. Down here, our horizontal axis. And then over here, we have our y. Remember that long tail y axis, okay? So when we go ahead and plot these points, there's a couple ways to remember this. I'm going to write them down here. The first one is you run before you jump. Okay, so think about if you're trying to do standing long jump in gym, or you're trying to jump really far, you're going to run first, gain that speed and that momentum, and then you're going to jump. Now, another way to remember this is just the very easy visual symbols. You're going to go to your x-axis first, and then up your y. Now, the other thing that another student last year taught me or said this, he's like, hey, Miss Brocker, it's kind of like when you go to like a hotel or you go to an apartment building and you need to get on an elevator. Say you need to go to the 5th floor. He says you have to walk into the elevator first. You have to walk in, so you have to get on the elevator first, and then you can go up. So he said, I have to get into the elevator first. Then I can go up. Go up. Okay, so those are a couple ways to remember this. So what we're going to do, I'm going to draw some lines on my coordinate grid to show you how to plot these, and then I'm going to end up erasing them. Now, on your Google Slides, this is a little different. You're going to use your mouse to move certain points, okay? So I'm going to do this first ordered pair. I'm going to do a red dot, and it's a little tiny bit tricky for me to do this with my pen on my iPad screen, but we're going to try our best today, okay? So the first ordered pair, the coordinate we're going to plot is 5, 3. So that means we're going to go to our x. We're going to go over to 5. Over to 5. I'm going to hit that line that 5 is on, and then I'm going to go up to 3. And then I am going to plot my point. Now, if you were doing this on a piece of paper, you wouldn't draw these lines, so I'm going to end up erasing this. And I'm going to try my best to keep my coordinate there. 5, 3. Okay. Now I'm going to do green for this next point. 9, 7. So I'm going to go over to 9 on my x-axis. Remember, run before you jump, and up to 3. And once you get, oh, sorry, not up to 3, up to 7. Once you get better at this and you practice it a whole bunch of times, you will start to kind of get oriented on this coordinate plane, meaning you won't have to um, draw these lines and then erase them because that's kind of a pain in the butt. But you will kind of be able to see, okay, here's 9, and you'll get a feel for what going up to 7 means. Okay. Okay, now let's do blue for our coordinate 1, 5. So this should start to look a little bit familiar to you from what we did yesterday with line graphs and even a little bit with bar graphing. These would be kind of the top of our bars. 1, 5, 1, and up to 5. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to do yellow. I don't know if this one will show up super well. Oh, it looks nice. Okay, so we're going to run before we jump. We're going to go over before we go up. We're going to get into the elevator, walk into it before we can go up to that 4th floor. So I'm going to go to my x-axis. I'm going to go all the way over to 6. I'm going to draw this line here just so you can see this. So I'm going to go over to 6 and then up to 9. Up to 9. And then this is where my point goes. Okay, I'm going to erase those other pieces there because we don't need that line there. That is not part of our coordinate. It's just how we make it. And then the last one, I'm going to do another red dot. Oh, just kidding, I'll do black. Forgot about that color. And this is 2 and 10. So I'm going to go to 2 on my x-axis first and then up to 10. 2 and 10. And there is my point right there. Okay, so here's the second part of your practice today. You have 3 total slides for you to practice working with the coordinate grid. One of the slides, you're going to be straight up identifying coordinates, and that's what we're doing right now, and listing their ordered pairs or their location on that grid. And the second one, the last slide you're going to have today, you are going to be the mayor of a city or a new neighborhood, and your job is going to be to design that neighborhood. So you are actually going to move items like a police station or a hospital or a school or a store or a restaurant. You're going to move them on your coordinate grid, kind of like I have my items here, and then you are going to list the coordinates. Okay. So I thought we could just do one slide of this where you're identifying, and it will work for both of your slides today. Okay, so now this is kind of opposite of what we did on the previous slide, the last slide. And now we're going to be identifying some coordinates. Okay, so really looking at our graph, looking at what we already know about our coordinate grid, and being able to pull out those values. Okay, I put this little reminder here because we'll need this too. X before Y. So X before Y. So even when we go to find the location of these and identify what their ordered pairs are for these items that are on our grid, we're going to need to remember that we count our X before Y, you run before you jump, or you walk into the elevator and you get on first. Okay? So put that on here too. Run, then jump. Perfect. Okay. So I put this cute little puppy on here, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at our coordinate grid, and we're going to identify the coordinates or the location of that puppy. Okay, so we have our X value we're going to do first, and then Y. So we're going to look over here, and I'm going to look. We're going to go over 1, or if you can do this backwards on your Google Slides today, what you can do is draw a line down from your puppy, and it is at 1. So I'm going to put a 1 there. That's my X value. And then it is at 8 on my Y axis. Okay. Okay, so that puppy's at 1 and 8. And the cool thing, you can always kind of check your work by visualizing where would I put that puppy to make sure my coordinates are right. So I'd go over to 1 and up to 8. Yep, it's right there. Okay. So we're kind of working backwards when we go to identify these. Okay, now remember, do red for this orange, X value first, and then Y value. So if you want to go over to 7, that's where this is. Okay, so I'm going to put 7, that's my x value, and then 6 is my y value. 7 and 6, that's where this orange is located. Okay, let's do green for this lemur. Okay, we're going to find the coordinates for where that lemur is located on our quadrant 1. Okay, so you could draw down from the lemur first, or if you want to go over and then up, my first coordinate, the x coordinate, is going to be 4, and he's at 4, 4. Do you see how that kind of forms a square there? You'll get used to seeing that when you start working with these a whole bunch. Okay, Mr. Lemur, I'll keep you circled. 4, 4. And let's use yellow for pizza. Pizza, pizza, pizza is at, let's see, go over to 9. So I know for sure that 9 is going to be my x value. And then we're going to go up 1, 2 jumps to 2. That is our y value. 9, 2 is the coordinates for that one. Then our cheeseburger, we're going to use black. Remember to run before you jump, over before you go up. So I'm going to go over to where I see that lining up is 5 on my x value, or my x axis, and then 9 on my y. 9. Okay, on your last slide today, you're going to be placing items, and you also have to put their values. So make sure you're doing that. It will say on your slides, it will just look like this. It will look like X, Y, and you need to place your item. So like, let's do one of those quick. Let's say we have a star, okay? And I'm going to put that star somewhere on my coordinate grid here. I'm going to put it right here. And then on your Google Slides, what you would do is you're going to click on these to kind of erase them or cover them. And you're going to fill in that value of where that star is at. So I'm going to go over to 2 first on my x-axis, and then up to 6. So the coordinates of this star that I plotted on my grid is 2, 6.